The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
All right. Sports concepts and rationalizations coming your way right now. We call it the 10-minute drill. Beef, we're going to hand out a prize pack at the end of the drill?
Yeah, we're going to hook up one lucky Googan at the end of the 10-minute drill with a Chick-fil-A prize pack that includes lunch for two.
Oh,
Not
nice.
bad.
Not bad at all.
It's our pleasure, Dan.
Trying to figure out where Andrew Nembhard is going to transfer.
He's definitely out, right?
Yeah, there are reports that Duke, Georgetown, Gonzaga, Memphis, Oregon, UCLA, USC, all very much have reached out to Nembhard. So,
I mean, he spoke, but it was very vague.
He went on Twitter.
He just kind of explained it, but it was very. It didn't really offer any type of.
He talked positively, and but it still makes it. What happened? We don't know what happened.
Right. Just basically.
Yeah.
It'd be better for me to continue somewhere else.
I mean, is it? Has he had a foot out the door for a year and a half? Did Mike White? I can't imagine Mike White would tell him, it's probably best if you go. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe just sometimes. Sometimes players and coaches just don't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Nembhard took official visits to Gonzaga and USC as a recruit. So, if you're wondering, maybe that would give you some insight. He was a 5-star prospect in the 2018 recruiting class, checked in as a number 23 overall player in the class. And look, I can't agree with you don't want to lose a player of his caliber. And I know that the spin from Gator Nation, and again, you know me, I'm pro Mike White, big time. But the spin from Gator Nation is, now we can play up-tempo and we'll be faster. And I get that, but nonetheless, you're still losing a guy who's second in school history behind Nick Calathis in assists. And that's per game average. He had 67 starts, man. That's a lot of starts in college basketball. And he scored about 10 a game and 5.5 assists per game across his 2 seasons. 5.5, like I said, is second in school history behind only Nick Calathis, who averaged 6.28 in 2 seasons. So, I get it. The Gators will pick up the pace, and they have some people to turn to. Obviously, they have that Tyree Appleby, who's coming in from Cleveland State, or there already. Quez Glover, Trey Mann, if he comes back, which he's not going to the NBA, so I don't know what he's going to do unless he transfers as well. So anyway, we'll see what happens with this team and going forward with the Florida Gator basketball program. I didn't get a chance to talk about, but I got to tell you, man, I love the Lance Armstrong documentary. I thought it was great. Did you watch it at all, Beef? Didn't do anything for you?
No.
Yeah. Man, I enjoy the heck. I love documentaries, though.
Yeah, you're a big doc guy.
And it was much more, I don't know, it again, somebody said in the documentary, it's tough to differentiate between bad guy who does good things and good guy who does bad things. I think Lance is kind of thought of as a bad guy who did a good thing.
Yeah, Lance is, I think, finally the book is out on Lance.
And I think he sort of came out as a bad guy. I'll tell you one that struck me. So Lance Armstrong, his son, Luke, is a college football player. I don't think plays a lot, but he's at Rice. And he's forged his own path. And his son talked about, it was important for me not, to do my own things. I didn't want to be the son of Lance. I want to be Luke Armstrong. I think that I respect the heck out of that. That's pretty cool. And so he goes to play at Rice, and I guess Rice, you got Lance Armstrong's son. You ask Lance to come and speak, right? So Lance Armstrong comes out, and he comes to speak, and he's holding a can of carbonated fizz water, and he's talking to the team, and he's fine, He's talking about the chase and the process and how much he enjoys the process, and, he really likes watching Rice football, especially number 48 over there. Right? So they finish up, and then they cut to him and his coaches and Luke standing there, and he goes, Dad, by the way, it's 35. He goes, what? He goes, I wear number 35 now. He goes, oh. The coach is like, well, it'd be easy to get that messed up considering, maybe you wore it in high school. And you're sitting there going, holy crap, man. Come on, Lance.
It's unbelievable.
It's kind of like maybe the first time he'd been on the campus or something. I don't know.
Just learned that week that his kid plays football at Rice?
Maybe.
I have a kid?
Tell me, let me see if Luke Armstrong has any stats or Luke Armstrong college stats. Luke is a fullback, 6'3", 232.
Big dude.
Huh?
Big dude.
Doesn't look like he's got
not a lot of action.
No, it doesn't look like he's done a lot. Let's see if he played this year. Yeah, number 35. He's a fullback, freshman. Stats not available for the selected player. So I don't think maybe he redshirted. He's a young kid, so I'm not down. Good for him. I mean, but so I'm watching. I'm like, oh, and then he also called. They caught up with Floyd Landis. Floyd Landis, if you remember, won a Tour de France and was stripped of it right away for cheating.
If you look at like the Tour de France winners, there's 8 consecutive stricken from the books. Lance is 7, and Floyd Landis, who won, I think, the year immediately after Lance retired.
Yeah. In January of 2013, Lance Armstrong made a big public show about how he owed people apologies after he bullied them. He cast aspirations on them for trying to tell the truth about his doping. This came during his television interview with Oprah Winfrey when he finally confessed to doping. Remember that, after years of lying about it. He named a lot of people, including his former teammate Floyd Landis. I owe them apologies, and whenever they're ready, I will give them. 7 years later, Armstrong has not apologized to Landis. In the film, he mocks him as badly as he did during the height of their feud. Couldn't be worse. Could be worse, he said in the film. I could be Floyd Landis, waking up being a piece of bleep every day. That's what he said in the documentary. The producer says, is that what you think? Yeah, that's what I know. I don't think it. I know it. Then we go to Leadville, Colorado, in Floyd's place. He said, look, I hope he's changed. I hope he finds some peace. I don't know why people can't move on, but here we are. Their conflict goes back more than 10 years and included the bombshell in 2010 when Landis himself confessed to doping and said Armstrong was guilty of it as well. That's why he hates him. That same year, Landis also filed a federal fraud lawsuit against Armstrong that was settled in 2018, with Armstrong owing $6.65 million to Landis, his attorneys, and the U.S. government.
Well, that would probably drive a wedge between them. A large $6.5 million wedge between them.
Armstrong portrayed himself, this is a review now, as a victim of sorts near the end of the film when he suggests that he and 2 other cyclists paid far more for their sins than others, even though doping was rampant in the sport. Well, you got more than any other cyclist,
and
too,
this is
Lance.
how I worried this doc would go.
Yeah.
That by the end, somehow Lance would be portrayed as some kind of sympathetic
But I don't
figure.
think they were portraying him. I think he was portraying himself. I think the documentary did a much better job of showing the warts than the Jordan documentary, which Jordan was the...
Well, right. He was in charge of that.
Like I read yesterday that this love letter that Michael Jordan wrote to this actress, did you see this?
Yeah.
Sold for a ton of money?
Yeah, Mike, not a good dude.
This is when he was married to Juanita.
Correct.
He wrote a 20-page love letter to an actress, which is out there as a... Now, why in the hell would you pay $250,000 or whatever it is for a 20-page Michael Jordan love letter?
It's Jordan, man.
Well, then buy a jersey.
Buy a bottle of Air cologne.
Buy his first shoes he ever wore. Buy his Olympic jersey.
No way. Got to have the love letter.
Buy a Wizard jersey.
Can we get that banner from Miami where it was half Bulls, half Wizards?
Back to Armstrong. He essentially compared himself to the 98 Tour de France winner Marco Pantini, the Italian who was dogged by doping allegations before dying of a cocaine overdose in 2004. He also sympathized with 97 Tour de France winner Jan Ullrich, who confessed to doping and later was admitted to psychiatric hospital. By comparison, others did not suffer such harsh public downfalls after serving doping suspensions. In Italy, Armstrong said, those guys are no different than any of us, yet they disgraced Marco Pantini. They destroy him in the process. They kick him out of the sport, and he's dead. He's bleeping dead. Armstrong excluding the fact that none of these other cyclists were nearly as big of a star as he was, and therefore didn't endure nearly as steep of a downfall. Other factors put Armstrong in a class by himself, as I said, among dopers.
It's unfortunate for these guys that the totalitarian cycling regime held them down and stuck needles in their asses.
Yeah. Unlike Armstrong, other dopers didn't bully or sue those who dare to tell the truth.
These guys.
Armstrong benefited from having friends in high places. Now, with all this said, I will say that the Livestrong deal,
Sure, it did.
if something good came out of something bad,
Yeah, it did something
unbelievable.
Great. It did great
And they
things.
talked about the Nike came to him and said, look, we're going to make 5 million Livestrong bracelets and charge $1 a piece and give you all the money for cancer research and cancer for the Lance Armstrong Livestrong Foundation. He's like, oh, wow, okay, that'll never work. Well, they sold 20 million in like 6 months.
Everybody had one.
Everybody had one.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
You couldn't walk around
No.
without seeing yellow rubber bracelets.
Yeah.
And then it started the whole rubber bracelet phenomenon.
And I think the one thing that Lance
Every outfit, every organization had a bracelet.
I think the one thing that Lance doesn't understand is we love America loves success stories.
Correct.
And overcoming the odds and being an underdog.
Right.
This guy, for all intents and purposes, should have died from his cancer and didn't.
Yes.
But not only did he not die, he then came back and won the Tour de France 7 straight times.
Believe me, I intensely dislike Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
Because I went all in on that.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like obsessed with that period, and everything, the story of it, of overcoming such spectacular adversity to come back and be better than you ever were.
By the way, and if he wasn't such a horse's ass, he would have been forgiven.
He would have been forgiven.
He would have been forgiven. But he dug deep and doubled down, and he talked about,
like you said, you disparage everyone who questions
and
you.
just lit on fire all of his friends and acquaintances.
Right. He's like Rafi Palmeiro.
They asked him, which one do you regret the most? Of course, he made a big deal out of that, too. Wow, I figured you'd ask,
Definitely Sheryl Crow.
And I give the lady producer, I don't have her name, it's like Zenovich or something, a lot of credit, man. Because she asked the questions that Marina Zenovich is the film's director. And I assume that was her asking the questions. And she went right at him anyway. He said the person that he regrets disparaging the most was this nice masseuse lady that was on the team that, was doing a story and said something. And he, of course, basically lit her on fire as well. Yeah, it's crazy. But he's moved out of Texas. I think he moved to Colorado as well.
I think he was getting hounded a lot.
Yeah.
When he'd go out.
Yeah.
So he's kind of living like the hermit life out there.
Yeah, I think he moved, and he's got a fiance.
I think he stalks through the woods looking for Floyd.
I think he has a fiance and has kids with her, and then he had, he got divorced. He immediately started running around with Sheryl Crow. He said that was a big mistake, Then
he was running with Sandy Bullock for a while, wasn't he?
Was he? Or was that Matt? I don't know. One of those Austin guys.
I lose track.
Him or McConaughey.
I thought Lance had a little thing with her. Maybe
Did he?
not. Maybe it was just Sheryl Crow.
He may have. But anyway, I thought it was very good. I really liked it, and I look forward to the Bruce Lee one because I don't know a lot about Bruce Lee at all, so I'll learn a lot about him. And then, of course, obviously, I would really look forward to the McGuire.
Yeah, they were a thing for a while.
They were?
Sandra and Lance.
Yeah.
Sweet Sandy.
And I guess, because he, again, everybody, he's an American hero, man.
Yeah.
There
was no other way to put it.
Yeah.
In the late 90s and into the early 2000s when he was winning those Tour de France's, he was about as big as it gets as far as American athletes.
He could have been like...
He was enormous.
Like Tiger.
Right.
Tiger certainly had a fall from grace, but is he back and more popular? Maybe not more popular than ever because he doesn't have the game, but nonetheless, he's beloved again.
Right.
Isn't he?
He lost some fans.
Wouldn't you say that Tiger Woods is beloved again?
Yeah, absolutely. He lost some people, but the majority of people are always willing to forgive.
Tiger Woods changed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see again, I always think of old Tiger and new Tiger when I see him do like a sit-down interview or whatever.
Yeah, he's a different dude now.
Different dude.
Different dude.
Well, there's no different with Lance.
No.
I don't think. I think he's, from watching this documentary.
I've only seen clips, but it felt like the same defiant guy that was defending himself, juicing.
All right, a couple other notes. Really bad break for Clemson, but more importantly for the kid. That's the receiver, Justin Rose, I believe is his name. He will not be able to play football this season, and I guess his his career could be in jeopardy.
It's yeah.
Now
Dabo,
he has a
just Ross.
Huh?
Ross.
Justin
Ross.
Ross. What'd I say?
Rose.
Yeah, Justin Ross.
Dabo said like the doctors feel like they're optimistic he can come back from it.
I hope so.
But
he has a congenital fusion in his spine. They thought he had a stinger in a final spring practice before the coronavirus pandemic. Next day, X-rays reveal the issue, which Ross had since birth without being aware of it. He'll fly to Pittsburgh to have surgery by a leading neuroscientist. He's fine physically, but the injury is significant concern if he were to play football. Oh, so they're optimistic that he'll be able to get back to football at some point. Unaware of any player who has undergone surgery for this issue and returned, however. Justin will have a decision to make. Ross could return to Clemson for a fourth season or attend the NFL Combine should the injury appear healed. That will be interesting because he shows up in first-round mock drafts. So, I don't,
that's tough.
That could be interesting.
Like he could wind up being one of those like risk-reward guys in like, the mid-rounds.
Yeah. So, anyway, we'll see. 66 catches, but he was so good in that Natty Championship game against Alabama. So, anyway, that's not good news for Clemson. And, I could dismiss it quickly and say, well, they have a bevy of riches on the recruiting front, next man up, and that's what it is. But I don't know who that is. And, again, if you lose a player of that caliber, I don't care where you lose them, it hurts. So that's the news with Clemson. All right, some sports concepts and rationalizations. We'll come back. We've got more ahead. We got Pat Dooley coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Beef, let's do caller number 3. 641-1010 and tell them what they're going to win.
Call number 3 right now, Dan, at 641-1010. Going to take home a prize pack from our friends at Chick-fil-A that includes lunch for 2. So get your grub on us.